Hello everybody, my name is Pravus, and welcome back to more Bio Inc. Redemption, having some fun in the Sandbox mode. We're going to go for another death campaign today. Not going to use a cheat code bobblehead name because, well, a couple videos ago when I did that, YouTube decided to demonetize me. They apparently didn't like that at all, so I'm going to try to avoid it. We're going to go for total failure with, again, an aggressive 300-day deadline, which is still pretty tight. I know a lot of people think this sounds like it's a lot, but it's not. The harder and harder you make the game, more 300 days is simply not enough to ramp up a lot of death. We're going to ramp up that AI difficulty, though, bring that to 7. Ouch. I'm going to start with a fair bit of extra bio points, 40 points, a pretty large harvester and resource boost, because in order to make things more difficult, something I'm going to do is give the AI some free lifestyles. We'll give them 4, for example, to start, which means this patient is going to be taking pretty good care of themselves, and trying to overcome that within 300 days for a total failure, that's actually pretty rough, hence why I'm giving myself some extra points in order to try and offset that at least a little bit. All right, let's go ahead and start up this game, see if we can burn Jane Doe's systems down. Oh, it's going to be rough. It's going to be rough. We have once again do want to start with the risk factors. Now, the most effective way to do this, of course, is to go for overweight, so we can burn down the circulatory system extra fast, so we can get as much cascading failure as possible. That said, we've been doing that a lot in the death campaign because it's so darn effective. In order to mix things up, let's go for the second most effective strategy, and that is to go for a drug abuse risk factor. So we're gonna make our patient a workaholic and a smoker, save up a few points, and we can go for alcoholic, which seems pretty good. And that's gonna lead to other drug abuse, which is going to do a monumental amount of damage to the nervous system, which can be pretty darn helpful for us. Okay, starting off with a few extra points over here. I do like seeing some of that. I'm not sure how much of a resource boost we can really look forward to, but there we go. Drug addict, lots of circulatory damage, makes the immune system cheaper, but look at that 50% extra damage to the nervous system. It is insanely good. Not as good as going for the obesity, but it is pretty darn solid. So we're gonna try for it, basically making our patient extremely stressed out and turning to various different substances in order to try and cope. Note that the digestive and the renal system are actually going to be very difficult for me to overcome because these lifestyles are going to be constantly healing the patient, so we need to be very wary of that. I want to get the drug overdose first, right, because that makes everything in the nervous system cheaper. Then we're going to go ahead and start applying at least a couple of systems in the nervous system, try to get some diseases that start burning them down at least a little bit before they go to the doctor. Then we'll focus on a few other risk factors. I'm thinking, let's say, make them over 60 years old, and hereditary. Those both combo fairly well with the nervous system because some of the nervous system's most powerful diseases are actually locked behind those risk factors, like, let's say, Parkinson's or dementia. So I'm gonna want all of those, ideally. I think we need, what is it, 18 points, 20 points in order to get the drug overdose? Let's see. Nope, 18 is exactly what we need. All right, drug addict, Dunskies. We'll pick that up, and then if we want to go for, let's say, the chronic stress, that's going to be only 2 points. We can start impacting them at least a little bit. Major depression, if we can get all the way there, actually does a small amount of damage to all systems, which can be pretty nice. All right, so that's a huge risk factor we have just applied. Only 36 days in. Let's go ahead and speed up time. Grab 2 points, fine, that's good enough for me. Let's go ahead and grab the chronic stress, start impacting a little bit here. Notice I went from +2 down to -3, just from one very cheap symptom. I'm telling you, going for the drug addict is huge. Does so much damage. Only 256 days remaining, though. We're a little on the slow side. I'll go ahead and pick some of that up, sure. Can we get the nervous breakdown? Yes, we can. If I go for burnout and then I go for major depression, that would be pretty powerful for us. Then we can focus on getting, let's say, hereditary and over 60 years old, which gets me the Parkinson's. And one of the reasons I want that is I would like to get some nervous system diseases that continue to burn this system down. Yeah, we want to burn this down as quickly as possible for cascading factors, but I also want to be doing damage to other systems, right? So we don't put all of our eggs in one basket, right? Because if the nervous system is gone and all we've done is focused all of our bio points in diseases that only impact the nervous system, well, then once this is done, what do we have left? And the answer is not much. We have very little left at that point. So gotta be ready for some of that. Grab all these points, sure, seems great. Do we want to go for the burnout now, or is that too impactful? No, I think we go for the burnout now. Doing, again, more damage to the nervous system. As this goes down, the odds of going to the doctor increase rather substantially. But to be honest, I am less concerned about the AI. I mean, that is a thing, that's a threat, but I'm less concerned about the AI as much as I'm concerned about the time limit. I really think that the time is going to be working against us more than the doctor. The doctor can screw us over by, like, maybe blocking us out from several different diseases by curing the right stuff. If the AI is smart at level 7, that could very well happen. but mostly I'm worried about time. 18 points is ideally what we're going to get for the major depression. Well, a few more little bursts like this, and we can actually get there. There we go. All right. Major depression is going to be mine. This does a lot more damage in the nervous system, so now they're taking minus 16. That's pretty huge. Now we want to be going for something like the hereditary and over 60 years old. Or I could focus on other risk factors, right? I could instead say, you know, the circulatory system's already got a couple of risk factors here. Do we want to just double up on that? We could just skip the Parkinson's and actually hold on to that in our back pocket if we so desire. Not a bad idea. Immune system, we could go for sedentary, which actually impacts the muscular quite a bit. Maybe. Let's go for sedentary, because I do think I am going to go for things like Parkinson's and stuff. We do want to do some extra damage in the muscular system, but having an extra risk factor here in the circulatory system helps it to burn down just a little bit faster. And actually, one good thing about the circulatory system is if we go for things like, let's say, hypertension and high cholesterol, which are pretty cheap, they also ramp up a little bit more damage on the nervous system too. So they help me burn this down a little faster, as well as doing damage in the circulatory system. Of course, if we go for things like post-phlebitic syndrome or pulmonary embolism, well, now we're doing lots of damage in the muscular and the respiratory system too. And that's the thing. We really need to burn down one system, focus it down, but try to spread out the damage to other systems so we're not really locked into only one thing, right? Actually, let's go ahead and grab the blood clots as well. So now the circulatory system's doing a pretty good amount of damage. Nervous system's actually down to minus 17 now, halfway down, and we're already 110 days in. We're a third of the way through, and we've only knocked out about half of one system. That's not fantastic. And of course, now the doctor's doing their thing as well. I think that honestly, the nervous system is probably good enough. Maybe we don't end up going for the Parkinson's, as nice as that sounds. Maybe we do focus further on the circulatory system so we can get to something like post-phlebitic, which you can see here not only does a lot of damage to circulatory, but a monumental amount in the muscular system. And since I'm making the muscular system a bit more at risk thanks to sedentary, we can focus over there as well. Also, over 60 years old makes muscular more vulnerable, and hereditary makes both muscular and circulatory more vulnerable. So if we're going to go down post-phlebitic, maybe going for the hereditary actually is smart. It just makes that system so much more vulnerable to two things that we're going to be impacting. Yeah, the only downside of this, of course, is it doesn't make anything cheaper, which is sad, but okay. So 16 points is what we're shooting for now. We'll do a load of damage. The AI is now starting to cure a little bit in the nervous system. They're going for the chronic stress first. They're going to start working their way up the tree. But remember, we do have things like Parkinson's still in our back pocket if we get one more risk factor. If we want to do that. Maybe we do, maybe we don't. I'm going to leave my options open and be flexible. I am mostly concerned about things like the renal and the digestive system, which at least for right now are staying plenty healthy thanks to all these lifestyles. The immune system as well is benefiting from that. We're almost halfway through and I haven't yet taken down a single system. We're close though. We've almost got the nervous system down and we're already ramping up damage for our next system to try and jump on that. Going to the emergency room now that the nervous system has ticked down enough. The nervous breakdown is starting to be treated, okay, but a little bit too late at this point. Let's go ahead and grab that post-phlebitic. Tons of damage now going to be done to the circulatory system. It may collapse pretty darn fast here. I think we're gonna have to start getting at least a couple of diseases in the renal or the digestive system, something that impacts both to try and prevent these guys from constantly healing up a little bit, but is it more impactful just to focus fire down a particular system? Probably. Let's go for muscular now. We're going to go for the potassium deficiency and the chronic muscle cramp, which should increase that damage a fair bit. Nervous system's mostly cured, but it's also almost completely dead. And once it's dead, I mean, unless they do neuroregenerative therapy, it ain't coming back. So that's now taken care of. The AI is almost certainly going to start focusing on, let's say, the circulatory system next, because they tend to focus on whatever currently is taking the most damage. We could start applying pressure in a couple different places just to lay the groundwork for some more success now that we have some cascading failures. Sclerodoma would actually be pretty good for me. It would affect the skeletal, the muscular, the immune, and the digestive system. All of them together could be pretty good. Gastroenteritis could do a fair bit of damage. Salmonella actually impacts both the digestive and the renal system. Type 1 diabetes, I don't know, maybe. If you want more damage on circulatory, sure, but honestly, I think the AI is not going to be able to cure the circulatory system fast enough as it is. I don't know that I really care. Burnout has now been cured, but they still haven't taken care of the major depression. Yeah, maybe we go for salmonella, or we focus fire. What do we do? Let me think. Sclerodoma is really good. It impacts so many systems. I think we're going to do it. This actually helps me burn down the muscular system a bit faster, as well as reduce some of the pressure elsewhere. If we can apply a little pressure here in the renal system so they're not healing, at least that way we know we'll be consistently doing some damage. Because what could very easily happen, right, is we'll knock down all these systems, but the cascading's not going to be enough to overcome all of the lifestyles, and one single system holding out is going to be enough to save the patient, and obviously that's not so good for me. So I think maybe we will go for at least a little pressure in the renal. Could go for the kidney cysts, for example. This is pretty good. We'll do that. We'll go for the urinary incontinence. That at least means that they're not healing enough. We're doing enough damage they don't heal. The cascades from about to be 2 systems falling is going to apply some constant pressure on the renal system. We're about 2/3 of the way through our time here, though, so that's not a lot to work with. What else is the AI doing? Well, they're trying to cure as much of the circulatory system as they can. As well, they probably should. Where do we have the highest risk factors? Right now, it's in the muscular system, but the muscular system's all actually mostly getting cured because I think they're going for post-lipidic right now. Yeah, that's a problem. Well, we're not over 60 years old, so I can't do things like the arthritis, so that's relatively cheap and probably not worth it anyway. Fibromyalgia could be pretty good for us. 20% extra damage. Alternatively, yeah, maybe Parkinson's. I mean, skeletal damage as well. But to do that, we need to make sure that they have their next birthday at 12. 12 points is what I need to actually apply enough pressure here to the muscular system. This is where the AI is actually being smart enough going for the post-lipidic that they might be preventing me from winning right now. Again, just slowing me down. That's all they have to do is slow me down sufficiently that I can't actually, I can't get all the points I need, and I can't actually get the diseases. Let's go ahead and pick up that over 60 years old. It impacts so many different things that I think we're going to have to try for it. It also makes other things like, let's say, arthritis and stuff, options for us if you want to. Osteoporosis, blah, blah, blah. That's all things we can do. So yeah, Parkinson's is going to cost 11 points, but muscular and skeletal system damage. Pretty good. I just need to force this muscular system to fail. The alternative, of course, is to go for, fibromyalgia, which now we can do. 12 points for this. Again, does a lot of damage. I'm a little worried. I mean, if we don't do more for the skeletal system, for the muscular system, it will probably die on its own unless the AI goes for, let's say, some muscular regeneration or something. We could try to focus on other stuff. Let's say we go for some gastroenteritis, all right? I'm trying to spread the damage out a little bit. A third system, if this fails, maybe we'll make it in time, but we have less than 100 days remaining, and that's obviously not much to work with. 12 points, man. Well, the muscular system's about to go, so it turns out we're not going to need the Parkinson's after all. Still, the skeletal system is now nice and vulnerable. I think we're going to go ahead and grab osteoporosis. Let's start ramping up some damage over there, since I think the skeletal system's probably the most vulnerable next. They also randomly evolved bronchitis. Well, thank you for that, Jane Doe. That applies a little bit of extra pressure in the respiratory system, which is great. Still need some more points here, though. Oops, almost messed up my hotkeys. The AI is pretty close to having cured the patient, and sure enough, neuroregeneration in order to try and prevent this. Well, don't you suck. Tell you what, I'm going to go for the polycystic ovary syndrome, which applies a little bit of extra pressure specifically to the neural system to try and get that back down, because we need to have this system gone in order to properly cascade. We're really close. 50 days remaining, a lot of systems taking lots of damage. Can probably apply a little bit more pressure in the respiratory system. Let's go for the flu. This helps a little bit. I need the skeletal nervous system and respiratory system to all fail pretty much around the same time. Randomly evolved overweight. Well, that's unexpected. Thank you. Didn't expect that at all. Definitely not. Only 40 days remaining. Gosh, it's going to be close. It's going to be really close. Anything we can take in, let's say, the... no, not the immune system. Renal system, no. Digestive, no. Nothing cheap enough here at the moment. Salmonella would be fantastic. Does a good amount of damage to digestive and renal both. Okay, skeletal system's about to fall. That means we're doing more damage everywhere. Oh, it's close. The AI's at 85% for the cure. If I can get to 11 points for digestive and renal system damage, we might get it in time, but barely. There goes the next one. Angina just happened. Automatic. Okay, well, fine. Thank you for that. Let's get... No, that's the wrong one. Type 1 diabetes is not what I wanted to get. Ah, darn it. I messed up. Heart transplants. How dare you? All right, the renal system's gone. We've got 20 days left. All right, the digestive system's about to be gone. Thank you for the angina, because that might actually save me. Woo, that got close. Look at that. Woo! Okay, that was rough. We had 17 days left. 86% recovery. Yeah, I'm telling you, in Sandbox mode, like, you think 300 days is a lot of time. It's not a lot of time, and just 4 lifestyles is all it took to make this so much harder. It's not that the AI was that much smarter. We even started off with extra points. 4 lifestyles in only 300 days with total death? Woof! That's a close one. Very close one. All right, well, that was fun. Quite a fun challenge. I think we're going to be done with Bio Inc. for at least a little bit. I do need to move on to some other stuff, but I've certainly had a lot of fun with this. And if you guys would like me to come back and keep doing more Sandbox stuff, or maybe just do a few of the really difficult campaign modes, I don't mind. Honestly, I like this game a lot, and I enjoy the diagnostic challenge. It's fun to play. Thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If so, then I would ask you to hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.